Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am so excited to be with you guys today. I'm Jenny Thomas, and I'm a mama of four littles. I have twin boys that are now 10 and two little girls, and each of our children have their own little uniqueness, their own spirit, sweet spirit, gifting, and needs, as I'm sure you found with all of your kids. However, as I've been raising my kids alongside my husband, I have found that we need a community to come alongside us to pray, to celebrate the joys, to help us overcome obstacles, and to develop the different milestones that we're hitting with each of our kids and the ages they are. So today, I am excited that I get to be with you. I get to be with you guys and share all about my journey, walking through the awesome stuff, walking through some of our tough challenges, and just sharing what we do in hopes that we can come alongside you guys and be a community. So, right now, right in the chat, I am putting a link. If you guys haven't joined yet, please come sign up for the Zoom that I just put in the chat. And after I share my journey and everything that's been going on in our lives as I've been raising Kingdom kids, then we get to come on the backside and become a community for you guys and pray and speak life and support one another. If you've already signed up, you should get your Zoom link here soon. And we can hop on the backside after I talk about my journey today. So, today on the journey that I want to talk about is dealing with the grumpies. How many of you guys have had grumpies at your house where you have one child that no matter what you do, they're going to be grumpy, they're going to be angry, they're going to throw fits, and it kind of causes some chaos in their house? Do any of you guys have that? I'm sure you guys do. Well, for us, we've had it on and off throughout the year, but most recently, we've really had it the last 3 weeks with our Sammy. He is a grumpy, grumpy boy in the mornings. Now, if it's a Saturday morning, he's peaceful as can be. But if it's during the school day, it's ugly. So, it's one of those things that he gets up in the morning and he's pouty. He doesn't want anybody around. If you come near him, he says unkind words. He has attitudes. He doesn't want to pick. He doesn't know what he wants to eat. He doesn't know what he wants to wear. It's just flat out ugly grumpiness. But you know what? His grumpiness affects my husband's attitude. So you start off, there's six of us here. You start off with one person being grumpy, then my husband's grumpy and has an attitude. Then the other kids get grumpy and avoid him, and they get frustrated by him, and our house turns into complete chaos. Well, I'm here to tell you that's how it was this morning. It was complete chaos because we have this one person that takes it out on everybody else and gets that ability to then affect how everybody else is handling it. Well, guys, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way at all. I'm here to tell you that I'm a peacemaker. I strive for peace. And a lot of times I'm that person that's like, okay, let me balance over on this side. Let me balance over on that side. But you know what I realized is that I can't always do that. I can't always be that peacemaker. I can't always make everything perfect for everybody and keep everybody apart and separated and happy and joyful. Instead, I had to learn tools. I had to go and learn and investigate, how am I going to help this? Because I don't want chaos in my house, as I'm sure you guys don't want chaos in your house either. And so, you know what, guys? Today, I want to talk about some tools that you can use that I found that I use in my house to help with this. And let me tell you, I had to use it today. And I had to use it big time today and find an extra little pouch of joy and peace. So, helping your child deal with their anger, moodiness, frustration, grumpiness, whatever you want to call it, can sometimes feel impossible when the emotions are high. I mean, how do we as parents act when our emotions are high? We can't think rationally. But you know what? We can train our kids to recognize these triggers, replace these triggers with the truths that will help them get out of a cycle. You have to help them realize that the enemy is trying to keep our kids trapped and be emotional and ugly and grumpy and, run by emotions instead of running by the truth. And so, I call it a cycle. I don't really like the word cycle, but it's what I'm going to use today. And what I really mean is dealing with that attitude, that grumpiness, that lie. Because, guys, it is a lie. We all have grumpies, but children's process it differently. And they need us as adults, as parents who care and love them, to help them identify that. So let me just talk a little bit about the cycle. So when your child has that grumpiness, that trigger, it triggers a thought process, emotions, and then a physical response that feeds into this behavior that comes out. And we do it too, guys. That's when we lash out. We allow negative thoughts to affect our behavior. So, number one, an event creates pain or distress that sets off this behavior. This event could be somebody said something or they have an unmet expectation. For us this morning, it was Adeline beat Sam to the bathroom to get ready. Sam wanted to be first up. He wanted to get there early because they have a special day of camping today. And he knew that we'd set up this whole camping because the two room moms had worked with their teacher to set up this special day. So he was excited and wanted to be there early. So wanted to be the first up and ready to go. However, I woke him up 3 times. I woke him at 6:10, 6:15, 6:20. Well, guess what? It's 6:30. Everybody gets up at 6:30. And Adeline beat him. So that event triggered him. And it triggered an emotion, which is number 2. It triggered that emotion and memory of, you know what? They did this to me. They don't understand me. For Sam, it was this emotion that we didn't care. We didn't honor or value him. We didn't honor that request, which ding, 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 that's the lie, guys. And then it led to this number 3 emotional response of the cycle. They feel frustrated, rejected. For him, it was adding to, you know what, at school, nobody picks me to be on their team. There's all this chaos. I feel hurt. I feel rejected. And here now, my parents are rejecting me too. They're not honoring me. I'm not honored anywhere. And that's that ugly emotional thought process that he's going through. And then it causes a physical response. For him, he's angry, he's mad, he says ugly stuff, he pouts, he throws stuff around. For today, took his pajamas, launched it across the room. Well, that wasn't very helpful. Guess you're going to get up and go pick that up and fold it and get it ready for tonight. They can't think rationally and they don't know how to handle that. And then that behavior response comes out. For Sam, he lashes out. What are you looking at? Why are you staring at me in the mirror? Brush your teeth. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't feel good, but it's what happens. But guys, I'm here to tell you something. The Bible says, train your child in the way they should go. When I heard the word train, I think of it as a child walking. We encourage them. We help them. We hold their hand. Yay, you got this. It's okay, buddy. They fall down. We pick them up. They have tears because, oh my gosh, they fell down and they bonked their head. And we hug them and we love them and, we hold them tenderly. This is what we have to do in these situations too. Because training means disciplining, guiding, holding their hand, speaking wisdom and truth. If I want that chaos to end in my family, if I don't want these mornings to continue, I have to take responsible and train Sam up in the way to handle his grumpiness, those negative emotions, and those triggers. So how do we do that? We have to stop the cycle. And y'all, I'm going to think of a different word besides cycle because I really don't like that. Too often, if we try to stop the cycle, we do it by lecturing them, teaching them a lesson in the midst of their angriness. But guys, they're not rational. They can't think through it because they have all these negative emotions and thoughts and stuff going through their head. So they can't rationally think through it. They don't have that mental capacity to understand, to experience it, or the ability to see it because they don't have that wisdom dealing with this. Our best effort sometimes can be like, you know what? Harsh discipline. This is your consequence for acting this way. Go to your bedroom. But really, that's the opposite emotion. Because then we give the ability for the enemy to come in and say, hey, nobody cares for you. They're rejecting you. See, look, they're just punishing you. Oh, hey, they're sending you away. You're going to be all by yourself. See, they don't love you. So instead, we have to recognize the behavior. I start by identifying it and using phrases to de-escalate the situation. I told Sam, hey, I see you're really frustrated. I'm here and available if you want to talk. I'll tell them, I see that you're really angry. How can I help? Or, you know what? I've been in your situation before where I felt this way. You want to hear how I handle it when I get mad? Want to hear how I do it? I understand you're angry and you disagree, but can you take a moment and a few deep breaths and understand my point, my side of it? Using different keywords to de escalate it helps them to be able to go, okay, emotions are this high, they're on a 10. Let me bring it down to 5, and then a 3, and then a 2. When we acknowledge that emotion, is what he hears when I say that, when I acknowledge that emotion, that I'm paying attention to him, that I care and have time for him. And you know what? I make myself available for my kids when this happens. So that way they can turn to me for help because I want them to make good choices. I want to give them extra guidance. I want to offer help instead of simply giving them a consequence. Being available and attentive always works better than telling them, hey, you need to calm down right now. That was my husband's cue. He's now changed that. Be like, you need to calm down. You go take a breath. Calm it down. We can't have this. You got to choose those right words in the midst of the cycle. And then, you know what? We got to train them to recognize and stop the cycle. And we can do that through 4 steps. 4 steps. And I think about how patient Jesus was. The disciples were trying to send the kiddos away, and he's patient. Bring them in. Let's listen to them. We have to do the same. We have to listen to them. What is that cry? What is that hurt? What is that emotion? Listen to the little children. And then we do 4 steps. We recognize, why we redirect. I'm sorry, let me start over. We recognize, we reflect, we redirect, and we forgive. And parents, I'm telling you this because sometimes I have to do this too. When I go through things, I have to recognize, identify the thought that came before that emotion. What was that thought that created that emotion? You help them recognize the trigger thoughts. And for Sam, for Friday night, what we did, for this morning, what I did, is I had him write on paper. What is that thought? Nobody likes me. They're not honoring me. I'm not valued. Nobody cares. Help them identify what was that thought that triggered the emotion. You can say, you know what? I've noticed that when you start thinking like this, you're not listening to me and you get really angry. What was that thought? Hey, I've noticed a pattern that, you know what? You're getting angry and frustrated in these moments. I want to help you, but can you tell me what that thought was? So let them recognize it. Then number 2, reflect. Think about how accurate and useful that thought is. Let's check that thought. Let's give it a check. So for Sam this morning, he took that paper, and what is that thought? That he's unworthy, that he's not getting honored. And that, what is that emotional response to that? Encourage him to think whether these thoughts are in his mind are true. When when our children learn to evaluate their thoughts this way, then he's able to change his behavior. So let him reflect. Is that a true thought? Well, no. Is that really how I see you? Is that how God sees you? Well, no. Okay, so now let's redirect. When we redirect, we change that thought to be more accurate and a helpful one. So you replace that faulty lie with the truth. And you know what? Philippians 4:8. Let me go and put this up here for you. Philippians 4:8, guys. It says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Guys, we're not made to sit in this mud and this gunk and say, nobody likes me. I'm not worthy. They're better than me. I'll never be good enough. No. And neither are our children. And I'll tell you, there's times, and for years, I'm going to be 40 this year, for years that I have sat in the mud and thought these things. But you know what? I've got an opportunity to teach my children that, you know what? They don't have to. They get to know the truth. They get to know whatever is honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, worthy of praise. So we have to go and replace those negative thoughts, the ones that lead to that anger, that frustration, that grumpiness, with empowering thoughts. This does require some practice. Practice over and over. Trust me, we've been doing it for a year and we still had an event this morning. So I asked him, I said, what's really true here? And he said, well, that I am worthy, that I'm honorable, that you care about me. Yeah. That God loves me and that he sees me differently. Yeah, absolutely. And then you know what? We do forgiveness. We forgive our sister. And does she really need to be forgiven for getting up? No. But in his heart, he's got hardness. So I want him to forgive. So he doesn't have that hardness. So the enemy can't use that against him. And so, you know what? Let me walk through another way that we have done this. On Friday night, actually, you know what? It was Saturday night that we did this. Gaga Ball. He had an issue at Gaga Ball. And you know what? It was no more playing. Everybody's fighting. So then they picked teams. Well, Sam didn't get picked on a team. And this boy, that's a fourth grader, told him, you know what? Nobody wants you because you're not good enough. You're not good enough kicker for soccer. So you know what? That ate Sam alive. So what did he do? He went and processed it. And he was just kind of grumpy when he got home from school on Friday night. But we had family here. We had pastors that were here. So we were all just kind of busy doing things. Like we recognized it, but yet then he seemed okay. But you know what? He went out and power washed because that's what he does. He power washes, he works with wood, and he processes it. And I tell you that because you know what? It still bothered him. So Saturday night, he's in tears and he was just ugly after the shower and frustrated with his siblings. And I said, what's going on? Nobody wants me on my team. I stink. I can't play sports. I never want to play soccer again. Well, why? Why do we say that? Because he was believing the lie. So you know what? We walked through and I said, I want you to write all these lies out. That nobody likes me, that I'm not a good teammate, that I can't play sports. Well, they told me that I was too short. Well, are you too short for soccer? I didn't know there was really tall soccer players. I think anybody can play. And walk through what those lies were. So we identified the emotion, we reflected on it, and then you know what we did? We walked through what is the truth? That I'm kind, that I'm a good athlete, that I'm a good team player, that I'm worthy to be on a team, that I'm worthy to be on a team. And you know what? We started speaking that. And then I had him repeat it and repeat it over and over and over. And do you know what I did on Sunday morning? I took markers. Yes, washable markers, y'all. Wrote it on his mirror. I am worthy. I'm worthy of being on a team. And he had that message because you know what? We're going to speak the truth to that lie. Because when we do that, then you know what? The enemy can't use it against us. And then we forgave. And I tell you, forgive. And I've said it before, but that is huge. That is huge to forgive. And we said a prayer. And now we have a new prayer. We got equipped. We had pastors that came and spoke and just poured into Clay and I for 2 days. They gave us a new prayer that then we said. So I'm going to share that prayer with you guys today. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to pull it up here. And I think this prayer is really powerful. It's a prayer of forgiveness. It says, because I have been forgiven so much by you, God, I choose to forgive. And put that person's name in there. For when what did they do? Causing me to feel. Put those words. How are they making you feel? And maybe me believe the lie that I am unworthy or whatever that lie is. For Sam, it was unworthy. I reject, renounce, refuse the lie that I am, whatever that lie is. For Sam, it was unworthy. And instead, choose to accept the truth and receive God's truth that I am worthy. Whatever that lie is, put the antidote there. That the truest thing about me is what God says. And he says, I am What is that truth? Worthy. You know, with Sam, I'll be honest, these conversations we have, but he still has to go process it. And I allow him to process it because then it sinks in deeper. And then he comes back and he can identify, reflect, and see the truth. So allow each of your kids to have that moment, to be able to let it sink in, identify it, understand it, process it, and apply it. Because when our kids learn how to catch, how to check, how to change that trigger thought, they're better at keeping these negative emotions, these negative thoughts at bay. And when the enemy tries to attack and help them and make them grow into being bitter, emotional, and have angry outbursts, they can go, oh, wait, let's check that box. Nope, we're not going to do this. And they can redirect the trigger thoughts to truthful thoughts because we can equip them as parents to stop this cycle and hear the truth. So, guys, these days, they're hard. They're emotional. They're exhausting. By the end of it, you're pouring in. By the end of this morning, I felt exhausted. I poured in and poured in and poured in. But let me tell you, we have to embrace, remember, God has equipped us and trained us and made us parents to be able to train our kids in the way they should go. I want you to hang on to this verse when things get hard, when things get tough, when these days are like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? You guys, you can do this. And I'm here to tell you that. So let's continue talking about how we can recognize, identify the thought that came up before the emotion in our children, help them to reflect, think about how accurate and useful our thought is, because that's a lie. It's a lie from the enemy. Redirect. Let's change that thought to a more accurate, truthful one. And let's forgive. So guys, let's hop on the Zoom below. I'm going to put it back up here. Let me click it here. And let's continue talking about this and train our kids to handle their grumpiness. So guys, come and hop on the backside and let's continue talking about this.